Hi everyone, today I'm going to play for you some of the greatest songs ever written. Here is the first one. Here's the second song.
And I know you have a heavy heart. I can feel it when we kiss. So many men stronger than me have thrown their backs out trying to lift it.
And the last song.
Boogum now, baby, you're casting your spell on me.
Are these not the greatest songs you've ever heard? If you agree with me, we ought to hang out. If you disagree, you're still wrong, but only from my perspective. This phenomenon has always puzzled me. How can I love this song so much and you completely disagree? So I decided to do a little research and found that there are 4 major factors that decide what determines your taste in music. The first one is emotional. The music you listen to between ages 12 and 22 will account for about 90% of the music you listen to for the rest of your life. Why? Puberty. It's during that time when you have that big release of hormones that you become a lot more self-aware, start demanding your angsty teen independence, and you have a lot of high emotion first experiences. For example, can you think of the song or artist that you'd been listening to around the time you had your first kiss, the first concert you went to? Perhaps you lost a grandparent or a parent during that time and listened to a lot of songs on repeat, which emotionally connected you to that artist to get through that experience. The next part is the psychological factor. As you can obviously tell from this image here, this is someone's brain listening to music. No, I'm just kidding. This is someone having a seizure during a sleep study. Okay, so this image here, this shows 2 different parts of your brain. The default mode network, DMN. This side of your brain is associated with daydreaming, self-awareness, reflection, and when you hear a song you like, this is what kind of is active and decides to add this song to like the soundtrack of your life. This other side, the task positive network, when you're listening to music, it kind of shuts down. That's because this side of the brain is only active when you're doing goal-focused activities and being attentive, focused, or conversing with someone else. A study done by Cambridge University found that there are 2 different styles of thinking which play a major role in deciding your taste in music. The first one being empathizers. So the first style of thought are called empathizers. Empathizers, like the name suggests, tend to focus on thoughts and the feelings of others. They lean towards more unpretentious music that's more mellow and look for emotionally intense or emotionally negative types of songs. Examples of this predominantly would include R&B, soft rock, jazz, folk, and electronica, where systemizers tend to listen to more complex music that's more intense, emotionally positive, including punk, metal, EDM, and rap. This graph from the same study shows where empathizers, systemizers, and those in between tend to prefer different types of emotion and what levels, whether it be high arousal, low arousal, positive or negative feeling, and how much of an emotional depth there is versus cerebral depth. This second graph, also from that study, shows where empathizers, systemizers, and those in between also differ between the type of instrumentation a song has. Now, I don't think anyone is 100% an empathizer or systemizer. I personally feel like I'm definitely somewhere in between the 2. The The third major factor that determines your taste in music is the social factor. This influence can come from the type of music your parents listened to growing up at home, your group of friends, the people you respect, and what society deems cool to listen to at that time. Something I've always wondered is, if a cute girl shows me a song, is it a good song because it's a good song and I like it? Or is it a good song because a cute girl showed it to me and that's why I like it? I don't know. The last major factor that determines your taste in music is your demographic. Surprisingly or unsurprisingly, race and gender did not make that much of a difference on various studies to influence your taste in music. Male and female don't tend to prefer male singers or female singers, or vice versa. What does play a role is what part of the world you're from. In more developing countries, typically, if they don't know English, they're usually listening to the pop songs from their country in their respective language, which more often than not includes songs that use traditional instruments from that area. Another big one is income and education. Those two kind of tend to be connected, and studies found that people who had a higher income and more education tended to listen to more, I don't want to say pretentious, but like jazz, classical, soft rock, more empathizer leaning, but that wasn't always the case. The last major thing that played a role demographically was age. You can see from this graph that I stole from Statica where different age groups line up with their preferred genres. What's interesting to notice is where the age groups that were ages 12 to 22 during the time that their favorite genre was most popular still remains their most favorite genre today. Alright, at this point I realize most of you are probably thinking, alright dude, I like what I like, but I don't necessarily care why. Well, for me, as a musician, I love to procrastinate hours of my time away in an attempt to write original songs. Then, every weekend I drive home and play shows and perform for my dog. Anyway, as a songwriter, it's really beneficial for me to know exactly what my potential listeners might be looking for. If I'm looking for an empathizer type fan base, strings, piano, and acoustic guitar should be the instrumentation, and the lyrics should kind of have a intense or emotionally negative type vibe, with the opposite for systemizers. If I'm looking for a fan base more based out of my generation, I should certainly aim for more pop sounding songs with similar instrumentation. Lyrics wouldn't have to be that significant. The pop industry has taken a huge advantage of what we do know and understand about people's taste in music. For me, as a songwriter, the artistic element and the kind of exploring and the unknown of songwriting has always been really cool to figure out and learn. And so I fear that the more we know and the more we learn, the more the pop industry will take advantage of that knowledge to commercialize and create songs for the sake of a profit. It only takes one catchy melody that you hear on the radio or in the back of a store to get you hooked, and then they have control over all the charts, and so they play the top 10 songs over and over and over, and it's all that people will really hear unless they actively seek it out. I realize this hasn't been the most unique or interesting TED Talk, but to me it's certainly very fascinating, something I really wanted to figure out just on my own. So I thank you for your time.